This is Mama's High on Chai. Hey there, mamas. My name is Simi, and I would like to welcome you to my very first podcast. And I'd like to introduce myself first and foremost and tell you a little bit about who I am. I will be your host for this show, and I'm a mother of two little children. My daughter is 6 years old, and my son is 4 years old. I am a healthcare professional and a small business owner, as well as a health and fitness enthusiast. And, you know, why I wanted to really start this podcast was really to build a community for South Asian mothers and talk about the challenges that we face on a regular basis while raising our little children. And being South Asians and being mamas, we I feel like our challenges are a little different than other mothers from other communities. And there is a lot of cultural and societal expectations and just the way that we are raised, that we were raised, and that sort of affects the way that we are raising our children in this modern world. So, I've always found myself caught between two cultures and trying to sort of navigate my way, around motherhood. And I felt like, I feel like there is not enough support for South Asian mothers as a whole. At least I didn't feel that way when I first became a mother, and I feel like there is a real need to build a strong community, so that all the mamas out there can listen in and know that other moms are going through similar issues, similar things that they are. And if there is some support for South Asian mothers, I also feel like there can't be enough. We are social beings, and we like to talk and we like to listen. So I feel like this would be a great platform to build something like that. And so what I really wanted to talk about in this podcast is, all the things from pregnancy to childbirth to first year of motherhood, our maternity leaves, and, going back to work, culture, money, issues around childcare and self-care and self-identity and all those things that I really wanted to sort of focus on. That was my initial plan, and I've been wanting to talk about this, or sorry, launch this podcast for. I've been planning it for a few months now, and this is what I wanted to do. But given what's happening right now in the world with this pandemic, I sort of started to think, maybe this is not the right time. People are busy. They are sort of anxious, and there's a lot of uncertainties. And maybe I should hold off on this. But then I thought, if there is a time to build a community, it is now. And I firmly believe that when there is a time where there's so much uncertainty and chaos, there's a lot of issues that are going on right now that are also being talked about on social media, but there's a real, a chance to really build a community and bring you guys together, bring us together, and talk about these issues so that we can be at peace. And I want to do that. I want to start this podcast off on, which is completely off track, unplanned. I said, I'm just going to I'm just going to go ahead and launch this podcast and talk about it, and talk about whatever's going on in my life, and my story, and the things that are going on with this whole pandemic, and how it's affected my family. And maybe even if I can help one or two mothers who are listening to this, and they find comfort in knowing that everyone is going through the same thing, and maybe together we can discuss how we can relieve some of the stresses and anxiety that we are going through. I'm going to talk about some of the things that have affected my family with this whole pandemic, and it sort of has creeped up on us. First of all, I'd like to say that I am a healthcare professional, but recently, like about a year and a half back, I sort of shifted and I was on the front lines, and with direct patient contact, and helping patients. So I was on the floor, but I wanted to sort of move ahead in my career and do something that I was actually working a lot of shift work, and that wasn't working out for my family. And because my kids are almost at an age that they're both going to be going to school, so just to find that work-life balance, I took up an office job, so which is related to. So I'm a clinical analyst now, so I'm still bringing my clinical expertise into my work, but I do have an office job. So I'm grateful that in this time I'm able to work from home and keep my children with me at home, so that I don't have to send them to daycare. And but if this wasn't the case, I would be on the front lines and yeah, just taking care of sick patients and be more worried about and more anxious about really what's going on out there in the world. So I want to kind of hear from mothers, if you do know someone who is working, in healthcare and is on the front lines. What are some of your struggles? What are some of the issues that you are dealing with? My husband still has to. He unfortunately cannot take the time. He cannot work from home because of the nature of his job. And I'm a little worried about him going to work. And yeah, just every day, looking into, my social media feeds, and everywhere that you see news, our news feeds, and WhatsApp messages, there's so much being circulated around, and there's just a lot of it is rumors, you guys, and just be careful about that. Are if you really want some good solid information, please go on the government websites, World Health Organization, the Canadian website, canada.ca, to get your information, and just get the right information, and try not to get yourself so overwhelmed with all this going on. Another thing I want to talk about is how to keep our children busy during this period, busy and safe. There's just, I've, there's just so much going on. I've sort of formed this kind of a phobia, germ phobia, and I'm just cleaning and I'm washing our hands and just making sure everything is just really, really clean and sanitized. And um, so what are you doing to keep your children safe and your family safe and yourself safe? What are some things that you are doing to keep your children busy and keep yourself sane? When my husband came home from work today, I just had it, and I was so overwhelmed from everything that I had to just leave the house and go for a run. And I said, I just want to take some time, some time away from all this, and I want to get my mind off of some things, and just take a moment, to get away from all this. And I came home and I meditated. So yeah, I want to hear from you. So what are some things that issues that you are facing? Are you a healthcare worker, healthcare mama who has to still go to work and leave your children at daycare? What are some of your fears? And even if you're not a healthcare worker, you may be a stay at home mom or a working mom who now has to work from home, or you may still have to go to work. And with all the children's activities pretty much being canceled, and spring break plans being canceled, and with all the social distancing that's into effect now, how are you surviving? What are some things that you are doing to keep your families and yourself safe and sane? That's all for today, guys. I want to really, really hear from you, and I want to connect with you guys. And the way to do that is to click on the voice message link on right on my show notes. And so with that, you can send me a voice message, and I'll be able to, place those messages in my next podcast. I'm going to be doing this quite regularly. I don't think it'll be once a week, but it'll be more than once a week for now. And I'm just going to be putting out my thoughts out there. It's going to be quite raw, unedited, and just in the hopes of really building that community, and ensuring that all the mamas out there are safe and sound, and that they have the support that they need. Okay, so take care of yourself and your families and your children. And I will see you. I'll talk to you next time. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Mama's High on Chai. I'll be posting some stuff on there. And you can message me if you like as well. This is your host, Simi, and I'll see you next time.